Hi, very good morning, everyone. I'm Sabyasachi Bharti, Deputy Director in CMS VATAVARAN, and on behalf of my organization, I welcome you all. Thank you for being part of uh, this special session. Meet the filmmaker Christopher Pohl. But before we start talking, and I invite Christopher on, let me tell you a little about this 11th CMS Vatavaran Film Festival Forum, which is live right now, and you can watch more than 89 nominated wonderful films from different part of the country exclusively on the India Science OTT channel powered by Vigyan Prasad, autonomous body in the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Uh, we will be having a discussion with enlightened filmmaker every day from 4 to 5, where you can come, you can participate in the discussion, you can ask questions, and we will be trying to answer those questions. Apart from that, we will be having various programs that will be the discussion with environmentalists, a discussion with the officers who are making policy, the policy makers. We will be also talking of the few of the very prominent faces doing actively working and contributing towards the cause of environment and biodiversity conservation. As I was saying, that today in the CMS Vatavaran Festival Special Meet the Filmmaker, we are having Christopher Pohl with us. Very good afternoon,
Hello,
Christoph.
good
Before,
afternoon. Thanks
yeah,
for
thank
having
you.
me.
Same here. So before we start, our session with Christoph, let me introduce Christoph. Christoph Pohl grew up in Germany, and he studies media technology engineering and worked in video and film post production in Hamburg and Berlin before moving to the experimental international township Auroville in South India in 2008. He established brainfever media productions in 2011 and worked as technical director for the Auroville Film Festival from 2011 to 2017. He is very passionate about the conserving Auroville's forest, and for past 2 years he is a co-steward of one of Auroville's forest. He had made various non-fiction and short films. Ever Slow Green is his first feature-length documentary film, which is being nominated in the 11th CM is competitive section of CMS Vatavaran Film Festival and Forum on Wildlife and Environment, which is also Asia's largest film festival and forum, and on environment and wildlife, of course. And you can watch Christopher's film on the India Science OTT channel, and also you can you can go directly to the India Science OTT channel website, or you can visit to our website www.cmsvatavaran.com, and it will redirect you to the film site. So, Christoph, thank you very much for taking time and becoming part of this session. Uh, so, let me start with the thing which is written there. Like it say that he is very passionate about conserving Auroville's forest, and for past 2 years he is co-steward of one of the Auroville's forest. This is in your bio. So, what is this co-steward in Auroville's forest? Can you tell us a little about it?
Yeah, first of all, it's been a while since I submitted the film, so by now it's 5 years. Since 2017, I'm one of the co-stewards. So Auroville has various forest communities, and each of these forest communities is taken care of by at least one, sometimes it's two or three stewards who look after
Okay.
this forest land. And yeah, I am one of those.
So, what is this for community forest concept in Auroville? Can you tell? Because your film also talks about this process of growing forest in Auroville. So, before talking about the film itself, can you tell us little about what is this community forest concept and how it's working there? How many forests are there? How this eco consciousness there in the Auroville is growing up?
So nowadays we have some 44 different forest communities, and in total, these 44 communities make up an area of 1,200, 1,300 acres. Um, But the entire Auroville project is much larger. Forestry is just one aspect of Auroville. But the film that I made, Everslow Green, it exclusively only looks at the aspect of forestry in Auroville. Because for me personally, that is what really impressed me most when I came here. And so I came in 2008, 14 years ago. Since then, I'm living here permanently. And so this, yeah, it's very impressive what has happened here over the past 50 years. Like to see that it is really possible to recreate a forest from scratch. So when Auroville started in 1968, it was a completely barren land. There were, yeah, very, very hard red earth with lots of canyons, eroded land. And from this landscape, within just 50 years, it has been turned into a lush green forest. It looks on the first look, however, when you look more in detail, you also realize it's still, of course, a very young forest, because growing a forest needs to go through different stages. So, for example, one of the very interesting things that I also learned here and learned also through making this film is that basically forest only grows in shade. So to grow a forest, first you have to create shade in order to then introduce the final species that make up this forest you want to grow. So you need to go through the stage of growing what they call pioneer species to create the shade environment. And in that shade, you grow the variety of species that you want to grow.
So when we talk about this forest community, what exactly is the forest community? What do you mean by forest community? Is a certain patch of land has allotted to a certain community, and then they look after the forest? And if yes, then how one decided that which how the community will be formed, and who will watch what forest?
Yeah, it's quite a complex question you are asking, because also Auroville has a history of 50 years.
Yeah.
So it has slowly grown over the 50 years. In the beginning, there was quite a lot of land and quite few people. In the beginning, there were just a few hundred people here, and then slowly the population grew. Um, yeah, and in the beginning, as I said, there were very harsh conditions. It's very hot down here in Tamil Nadu, and the need was to create shade just to make it a livable environment. And from
Mm-hmm.
this need to plant trees to create shade in order to live more comfortably,
Mm-hmm.
slowly also the expertise developed that people started to look into, okay, what is the original vegetation of this area,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, um, um, do research in this field, and go around and see what forests are actually left in this area, because it's quite a unique vegetation that you have here on the coastal belt of Tamil Nadu.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, people went around, and where people usually found existing vegetation was around temples. Like around
Okay.
temples, you usually have temple groves where people don't
Mm-hmm.
the forest. So there you have the chance to still find specimens that are several hundred years old, and collect seeds, and bring them back into nurseries, grow seedlings, and plant those species and
Mm-hmm.
recreate the biodiversity that used to be in this area.
Great.
So this is the
Wow.
work
Wonderful.
that's happening here nowadays. And
Okay.
more also there's outreach happening, that the knowledge that we accumulated here in Auroville, to
Mm-hmm.
spread it and to connect with other forestation projects in this area and beyond. So that's very interesting.
Okay, that was really wonderful information. Now, coming back to your film. So, before we start discussing about Ever Slow Green, let me share a film clip with our viewers, and then we'll be talking about your film and this process. So, viewers, here is a clip from the film.
You cannot compare Auroville to any other forestry project in the world. It's absolutely unique.
The main thing we can do for the global climate change and global warming is to replant forests. It is the most efficient thing we can do. This and stopping pollution.
Realizing it wasn't an ordinary afforestation project.
Together we have more strength, and our dreams can, I think, become more powerful and become true.
I guess you could say a divine soup of genetic material, both on the human level as well as on the forest level.
Because we are pioneers in the recreation of tropical forests.
An opportunity to be part of the solution.
The animals came back because it was very quiet and very well protected.
None of us really consider this our job. We work full-time at it for probably decades, but we do this because we are so passionate about it.
All of this was the hardest, reddest soil. In the canyon, it was all open and windy and barren.
This was all empty. There was only one tree in the middle of nowhere.
This is actually an extraordinary work that probably has never been done before us, you know.
In 100 years, Auroville will be magnificent. A jewel of the country.
A deep, dense, dark forest.
Wonderful. Friends, I must say it's a really very beautiful film. I watched this film twice or thrice, and it's a very poetic film. The film has its own pace, and it's very cooler and calmer pace. It's slowly and gradually develops, and you can say that the film itself is a poetry. So, Christopher, I must appreciate the way you had made the film, and we really loved it. Here, jury also loved the way you had created. There was a very slow but very beautiful and nice flow in the film. So, how you have visualized the film, and why this film? Why you decided to make this film?
Well, why is what I already said earlier. Seeing the forest here nowadays, this was really one of the main things that impressed me most when I came to Auroville, and I learned that all this forest that is here nowadays hasn't been always been here, and it has been planted from scratch. So that this this led me to slowly also learn about forestry, and at some point also I was lucky enough to find a place in the forest to live. If you see behind me, I'm actually living in the middle of a forest.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, we can see a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, and then with my background in media technology engineering, I was when I was working in Germany, I was working in post-production, and only slowly, just shortly actually before I came to Auroville for the first time, I also took my own camera and started doing short videos. I had a video blog or 2 video blogs, and started to do my own video productions. And somehow there was always also this distant dream that one day I would like to attempt to make a long film, like longer than 45 minutes, an hour, or maybe 2.5 hours. So there was then this vague idea, or this could be a topic I could start to develop into a long film. But it took me many years to get it into a concrete project. And then in 2018, we had the 50th anniversary of Auroville. It started in 1968, so 2018, 50 years. And for the 50th anniversary, there were some funds available. And before that, the group who was dealing with the anniversary celebrations, they were calling for projects. So I took this as an opportunity to write a project proposal to make a long film about this this process of recreating a forest. So that actually got me started. And then making the film was roughly a process of around 2 years with preparation, 4.5 months of shooting, and then another 9-10 months of editing. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I just wanted to know, that every documentary filmmaker or every filmmaker has a pace in his or her film. So you had selected a very slow moving, pace for the documentary. So why you decided to make a film in a slow pace? Why don't talking about this and cut? Why this slow pace? Just trying to understand your thought process behind.
Yeah. So very early on in the process, I decided to actually have the entire film in slow motion. So
Okay.
in production, we shot everything with a high frame rate, so that you are able to create a smooth slow motion. And the reason to do that is as a visual concept, that the process of growing a forest is a very slow process. So to visualize this, I chose this this slow motion. Also, I had in mind, I wanted to create an experience for the viewer of the film. Ideally to watch it in a cinema setting on a big screen with a dark room, and for 1 hour really having the feeling and the experience of slowly going through the forest or gliding over the forest to to have a relaxing experience. And also to counter, like nowadays, as you said, nowadays everything is cut. It's very fast, and we live in a very fast-paced society normally. And just to counter this and to make it an experience to slow down, and because if you see the lifetimes of trees that can live a few hundred years, it's completely different perception of time if you think about this. So yeah, that's
and how difficult or easy is to getting all these archival footage, the photograph. I'm really very impressed with the photograph where this photo of a single tree is there and there is nothing, and then how the forest came up. So how difficult or how easy was to gathering all these footages, and what have you done? Have you gone to some agency or to Auroville, and were very happy? Yes, please take it, or you have to pursue them? What was the process?
Yeah, luckily in Auroville we have an Auroville archive, which specifically keeps photographs and video material and print material over the years. So I spent a lot of time going through the material that I could get in the Auroville archives. And additional to this, I also approached people who are living in Auroville already for a long time. Often they have some collection of old photos in their own private collections. So yeah, it took some research.
It was not that difficult.
Lucky enough, there is Auroville archives.
So it was not that difficult. So now coming back to Auroville, like when we were talking about you, we said that it's a very experimental international township. Why experimental in nature? Like why we are describing Auroville as experimental township? I just want to know, for the people who have never been to Auroville, been to Pondicherry but not been able to be a part of Auroville. So what is Auroville?
So Auroville was envisioned and was started by the mother. That is Mira Alfasa. She was the spiritual collaborator of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo and the mother, they had an ashram in Pondicherry. Sri Aurobindo in 1950, he passed away. the mother continued to run this ashram. So the idea of Auroville is to create a spiritual place which is different from an ashram. Like Auroville is meant to be a place where there's family life. You are right in the middle of normal worldly life. So in contrast to ashram life, where you tend to be sort of slightly disconnected from the rest of from normal life. So that is behind the idea of Auroville. So, and it's based on the philosophy and ideals of Aurobindo and the mother, to lead a spiritual life, but be very much in the middle of the world.
Yeah. So, what is the general routine in Auroville, like, and who and how can you be a part of Auroville's society, and who can be a part of Auroville society?
There's a charter and a dream that are the foundations of the ideals of Auroville, and I think in the charter it says, maybe I'm wrong, but somewhere it says everybody of goodwill is welcome to come and join Auroville, and that basically is the invitation to everybody who is open for this to lead a spiritual life. And yeah, and we have various ideals in Auroville. Like we try to create a community where you become more independent of money. Like within Auroville, we have different projects where we try to avoid the use of cash money. For example, we have a goods store for food purchases, but you don't purchase them. You are a member. You pay a monthly contribution. And when you go to this shop, which is not a shop, you don't see any price tags. So it leads you to a habit to really think about what you need rather than what you can afford or maybe what's on offer. So you go there and really choose what you need. And at the end of the month, like everything is still, it's built into an accounting system, but you don't necessarily see this. So you don't go shopping having in mind how much money you are spending at the moment. So that is one example. Yeah. And what's the daily routine? It's really a difficult question because all these 3,000 plus people in Auroville, we all have different routines. Like I can talk about myself personally. So as I said, I'm involved in forest work. So that means like a few days a week, I spend time in this forest that I'm taking care of together with 2 other caretakers. And the works there, they are varied. Like here in the southeast, we have southeast monsoon. So between October and December is our main monsoon. That is the time when most of the planting happens. So before October, when the first short rains are coming, then we are starting to dig the holes for the planting. We prepare the planting, and as soon as the monsoon starts, we do the planting work. In other times of the year, an important part is to keep the fences intact, because especially in India, you have freely grazing cattle and goats. And when you try to grow a forest, that is really detrimental. So you try to keep those out. So you need to keep your fences intact. Also, there are certain kinds of thorny species that are quite invasive. So another work is removing those invasive species. In very dry, hot summers, for the first 1 or 2 years, we also occasionally water the trees that we planted in the past monsoon. So these are the kind of works that are happening in taking care of a forest.
Yeah. Now coming back to your film making life, it says that you were also the technical director for Auroville Film Festival from 2011 to 2017. Can you tell us a little about the Auroville Film Festival? How it started, when it started, what are the tenure, and how can anyone participate in the film festival? How you do it?
Yeah, so the Auroville Film Festival happens every 2 years. The very first time it happened in 2009. There was just 1 year after I arrived in Auroville. So in the first year, I actually only participated with a short film that I have made. And then I got to know already a little bit the organization team. And then the next year also I joined as a team member in the technical section. We have usually 4 different categories in the festival. 3 categories are centered around Auroville. So the categories are films made by Aurovillians or guests of Auroville, or also the bioregion, like we consider Pondicherry and the near bioregion. They participate in this category. We have films made by students of Auroville and films made about Auroville. Like it happens also quite often that film teams from outside come to Auroville to report about Auroville, or people who are not residents of Auroville making films about Auroville. And then as a 4th category, we have an international category. And this, we are screening films that develop the theme of human unity. Human unity is the top aim and ideal, what we are thriving for here in Auroville. This is the raison d'être of Auroville. To try to live together peacefully in a society, live a spiritual life, and evolve your consciousness collectively. So we try to find films that somehow deal with this topic. It might also be that it deals with quite the opposite, like films that show conflict and quite the opposite of human unity. But then in a way, I mean, every film has not only one topic. So this is how we look for the film.
So on behalf of CMS VATAVARAN, I am taking this opportunity to express our willingness to help you in any way we can, because as a CMS VATAVARAN, Asia's largest environmental film festival and forum, we do have a great number of films which is talking about the environmental consciousness apart from other problems. So we will be glad to help you. Now, thank you. So now coming back to your life again, Christopher, you born and grew up in Germany, and then you decided to study in the media technology engineering. So was any specific reason for choosing media technology only, or?
Well, funnily, to be honest, before I started media technology engineering, I actually started to study environmental technology engineering.
Wow.
But then, after some time, I realized that graduates of that study, they often end up working in the industry, and they are responsible for knowing the environmental law, and basically their job is to see how close can you get within the limits of what is allowed. So this kind of, it didn't really then sit well with me, that I didn't see myself working in an industry and not really doing something for the environment, but only being the expert of what is being allowed. So I was looking for something else, and then I came across media technology engineering, and I was always interested in film and also new media and multimedia, and so yeah, that's when I changed over to media technology. And in that study, very early on, I concentrated on the part of filmmaking which is post-production, so editing and special effects and everything that comes after.
And as this film is your first feature-length documentary film, you had created and made several short films. So how many films you had created? How many films you had done till date? And apart from this film, which was your very near to heart, and why?
Oh, I didn't ever count those. And also, whatever I did before, I always made short films that I immediately put out in the open. So they are all freely available, or they were on commission. But what, like with this film, what I'm experiencing for the first time is really having a film, and then this whole process that comes after you finish the film, sending it to film festivals, trying to find a distributor, seeing this whole, this whole business actually that comes after you are finished making the film, and all this is like very new to me. Yeah.
So, you were working. You had finished your education in Germany, and then how and why you decided to come to India, to Auroville? What happened? How you came to know about Auroville?
Well, for some reason, I was already very much interested in India after finishing high school, and at that time, together with my that time girlfriend, we had planned to come to India, but we said we need at least 1 month's time minimum to come to India because it's such a big country. And we didn't manage to have 1 month together. We only managed to have 2 weeks together. So at that time, we only booked an all-inclusive holiday in Sri Lanka. That's how close I got at that time. And then I started studying, and it took me some 10 years before I then came back to this idea. And in these 10 years, 3 different friends actually told me about this international township of Auroville. And it always rang some bell in my head and sounded very interesting. So when I finally came to India in 2004, I visited Auroville. And I came to Auroville, and I stayed in a youth guest house, and I met very interesting people. And I bought an old Royal Enfield, a Bullet. And then I started to travel in South India with an old Bullet. I had never sitting on a motorbike before. In Germany, I only had a license for a car, but not for a motorbike. So I enjoyed that so much that at the end of my holiday at that time, I didn't want to sell that Bullet, but I parked it in Auroville. So then 2 years later, I was in the middle of a job. I was a post-production supervisor in an advertisement production company, and I had 3 weeks vacation. So I came again to Auroville. It took me 1 week to fix up that Bullet again, and then I had another 2 weeks to quickly do a short round again, and I parked it again. And 2 years later, again in 2008, I was kind of fed up with the media business, and especially the advertisement media business. So I was looking for something else, and I decided I want to go to Auroville for a longer time. So I planned to come to Auroville for 9 months and to volunteer at the Auroville Radio. There's a radio project here. They do online radio, and nowadays also more and more video. So I came for this. And that time I came overland. I took 2.5 months to travel from Istanbul through Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan to India. And yeah, then I was in Auroville. I worked at the Auroville Radio, and I worked in in different places. In the bakery I worked, and I learned how to make croissants, and I worked in a carpentry workshop with a Japanese carpenter and learned carpentry. And at the end of the 9 months, I was ready, to just stay here. So I just returned to Germany. I finished my apartment, which I sub-rented during that time, and I came back, and then I never left.
You like Auroville so much.
Yes, it's a very special place. I don't think you find anything like this anywhere else in the world. It's very unique, and you find, so many interesting people from 55 different nationalities, I think, in Auroville.
Wow. Now coming back to your film making process again. So every filmmaker has a certain process by which he create his creation, that is a film. So for you, how you think of a film, and what is a filmmaking process for you? How, from where do you start, from how you think that, and how you decide that I have to make film on this very thing, and then after what you do, and then after till the final product, you get the final product in your hand. So what is the process, filmmaking process for you?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to teach others how to make a film. I can tell you how I did it. I don't have a formal filmmaking education. So I didn't have a real script. I had a few aspects that I knew I wanted to cover. I told you already that very early I was also clear I wanted to have the visuals of a slow motion throughout the film. And another thing that was very clear to me is that I did not want to have any talking heads interviews. It's just my personal taste that I don't like this. And also with this film, it's also, in the end, this film is not about the people who are growing the forest. It is about the forest. And to grow this forest is an absolutely collective effort. I show in this film 17 people, and this is only a fraction of all the people who are involved in forestry nowadays, and all the people who are maybe not here even anymore, or who were involved in the beginning and nowadays do something else. So the people are actually the mere messengers in the film. The main protagonist is the forest. So I didn't have a real script, but I wanted to interview certain people, and as I said, not as talking heads. So I started with going around with my audio recorder and do interviews with these different people working in forests that I knew. And then I had a good friend, the cinematographer Arvindan, who lived nearby in Pondicherry. He doesn't live in Auroville. And together with him, I worked out the visual concept, and we started shooting over a period of 4.5 months. Originally, I had the idea that I wanted to shoot over a period of a full year to really cover the different seasons of the forest. But due to budget restrictions, we had to cut it down. So we came down to 4.5 months. We shot from September up to January. So, as I said, the monsoon is here in October, November, December. So that period where we shot is really the period where the forest looks most lush green. Like when you come here in April, May, June, it might not look as good as you see it in the film. So be prepared if you come visit in this time.
We were talking about the budget of the film and restrictions. I had a question from Harsh Khatwani. He wrote, I have a question. How did you raise funds for the film Ever Slow Green?
Well, as I said, there was this 50th anniversary at that time. So there were some funds available. So I made a project proposal, and I got a part of the funds that I was asking for. So because of this fact, as I said, I adjusted the original idea of the film slightly. And also I ended up also putting some personal funds in it because it really is a passion project. So I really wanted to give it the best I could.
So there are two different kind of film. We can say that one is like the documentary films which you are making, and there are then popular films, the mainstream cinema, we can say. So if someone wants to, some young wants to make his career in this kind of filmmaking, that is documentary filmmaking, what do you say to those youth? What suggestions you give? Is this documentary filmmaking is a very easy process, or it's different, or it's as glamorous as it looks on a screen while watching any film?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out myself also, as I said. Only now I'm learning what is the whole process that comes actually after you finished your film, trying to get it out, trying to find a distributor. Like when I was looking on how do I get my film on platforms like iTunes and Google, I found out that as a single filmmaker, you cannot even approach those platforms. They don't talk to single filmmakers. They only talk to distributors. So you have to go through a distributor in order to get your film on these prominent platforms. And yeah.
So it's not as pinky as it looks.
Sorry?
So it's not as pinky as it looks.
Probably not, no. But what I would say to young filmmakers is still, if you have the passion to do it, because that's the only thing that can drive you. You need to do what you want to do. Only then you are doing good work. So I would suggest to start with a short documentary, pick out some topic that is your passion and do a short documentary so you have some showcase. And with this showcase, you go to production companies or potential funders and try to raise funds for your next and slightly bigger project.
So funds are always a problem for the independent filmmaking makers, any part of the world, here, India or outside India. So yes, friends, if you want to make your career in documentary filmmaking, be prepared to face challenges. But if you are passionate enough about making the film, no challenge is bigger than your passion. So yes, and as we were talking about Christoph's film Ever Slow Green, it's a beautiful film, I must say. It's a beautiful documentary, full-length documentary film. You can watch it till 23rd of April on the India Science OTT channel. Go and watch this wonderful documentary film. So, Christopher, what now? What are your plans now?
At the moment, I'm still busy with getting this film further out. So very soon, like this week, I will go to Germany. I haven't been to Germany now for 5 years, and see my family and friends. And while I was planning my trip in Germany, then I just gave it a try, and I wrote to a few like small art house cinemas that I knew in Germany, and told them I have this film and don't you want to show it? And the response was quite positive. So actually I will end up having a little cinema tour also while I'm going to Germany now. Yeah. And yeah, other than that, I mean, that's I don't actually want to even start with this topic, but right now in Auroville, we are facing quite some challenges. There are some structural changes taking place. So if you're interested, you will find a lot about it on the internet. There's one website I would suggest if people are interested to see facts about the current situation. So that website is called standforaurovilleunity.com. So yeah, that's as much as I would like to talk about it now. And there's actually one more thing I would like to share with young and future filmmakers one experience that I made in making this film Ever Slow Green. So not only because of a lack of funds, but also because I wanted to. In this film, I actually was wearing 3 hats. I was the producer, I was the director, and I was also the editor. And I made the experience that I don't think I will do that again when I make another project of this size. And I really realized that it does make sense that these are 3 different positions normally. Like when you're the director of the film, you don't want to always be concerned with all the organizational and financial topics at the same time. So having somebody separate who takes care of this is definitely a help. And also, it's a help if the editor, in fact, has no attachment to the footage, like really sees the footage for the first time on the in the editing suite, and does not know how difficult it was to get this shot, and really like objectively judges the shots on how they provide for telling the story that needs to be told. So I think for the next project I would choose just one of those 3 positions.
Yeah, sometimes it's very difficult for a director to decide what to put and what not to, because a film is as a baby for a director. So each and every shot is very dear and near to his or her heart. So yes, it's just a difficult job. So you were talking about editing. So sometimes people say that the films are being made on the editing table. So are you agree with it? So
well, if you see the end result, yes. So, but basically, I don't know who said it, but some famous quote is there that every film actually contains 3 different films. The film that is written down as a script is one film. The film that is being made while you're shooting it is another film. And the film that is finally being made in the editing suite is the 3rd film. So, but that is just the normal process of coming to a final product, I think.
Okay. So you said that when you started, thinking of this film, so what about the script? You had, you had a script written with you, or you just had an outline of how the documentary should be, and then you developed the script while shooting? How was the process? What was the process?
Yeah, I have to say I never really had a script. I had some few topics outlined that I wanted to have covered in the film, but then I simply went ahead and interviewed different people and collected a total of some 15 hours of audio interviews. And then I had a very valuable help by Leslie Brannigan, the associate producer, who helped me in sorting out these 15 hours of audio material to create actually the storyline out of this. So it all happened directly on the material. We never really had a real script as such. And yeah, and that's another recommendation I would give to young filmmakers. Yeah, try not to do it all by yourself. It's very, very challenging. So having somebody to do it together with, and to give another perspective, and to constantly also exchange ideas, that is a very important process. So filmmaking definitely is a team effort.
Yeah, the perspective which you said, yes, sometimes we are so so engrossed with the subject which wanted to shoot, we cannot able to understand it from a third party point of view. So having a third set of eye is always good for any project. So yes, that is always third set of eye is always welcome. Now coming back to the festival, as you know, the CMS VATAVARAN Film Festival and Forum is about the different environmental and wildlife issues, and one of the issue which we are talking in these days, which is very relevant and everyone is talking, is climate change. So when you came to Auroville first time, and now this is 2022. So for you, have you seen this effect of climate change there? Like, what is your take on climate change?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Also in the beginning when I came, 2004 and 2008, also still, just the monsoons, they still were much more intense. You really had days and days of really heavy rain. And from then onwards, slowly the intensity, or yeah, the intensity got less. However, it's not entirely true. Also, you had then more like single intense events. Then we had a very big cyclone at the end of 2011. Yeah, and how do I experience climate change? And last year it was exceptional, the rain. We had double the amount of annual rainfall that we had in previous years. And oh, sorry,
Your cat, yeah.
wants to go out. One moment. Yeah, you want to be on the movie? Yeah, you see the movie. Okay, I'm back.
You have a little beautiful cat with you. So you had seen the effect of climate change during these years from the.
Yeah, I would say, and what I also see is the effect that the forest environment has. Like here in Auroville, we usually have at least 2 degrees, sometimes even more, especially in the nights, less than you have in Pondicherry, which is just 15 kilometers outside, but just because that is an urban environment with lots of concrete and tar, and to have the environment of trees around is easily to be experienced. And also when you have heavy rainfalls, that we don't have such strong destruction, because the forest actually helps in percolating the water, and we usually don't have as much damage as you have in urban areas when there are heavy rainfalls and floods.
So you do feel that there is a change due to global warming in around us, and probably maybe the density, the total accumulation of the rain doesn't go down, but the number of days has gone down. You had a
total, yeah, except for last year. That was exceptionally strong rainfall we had. Yeah.
For last 2 years, Christopher, we were dealing with this pandemic, COVID pandemic, and it has changed our world in a drastic way. My last question to you is that how much do you feel that the film festivals like us are relevant, and how these film festivals are, do you think that these film festivals are effective first, and how do these film festivals can sustain, because you are also from a film festival background, you had run Auroville Film Festival, being a part of that.
Yeah, I think film is the strongest medium to carry a message. And yeah, in this pandemic, we have seen that film festivals now are forced to move online, as we are doing now also, to virtual film festivals. And the opportunity that this brings with it is you have a much wider outreach than just the local population of where you're actually conducting the festival. I think still it will take some time to really pick up. Like, also watching a film on a computer screen is a completely different experience than watching it together with other people in a cinema environment. So personally, this is what I'm missing most, and what
the experience of watching a film with a community in around you in a certain space is different than having the film festival online.
Definitely.
But one thing we must say that the technology has given the film festivals to go to the wider audience. So we can say, I think, and I think that you also, you agree with my point that, the hybrid mode which we are talking, where we are thinking of doing certain days of festivals on a fixed venue and then going into online mode, will give us a opportunity to have the best of the both world kind of thing, online and offline.
Yes, definitely. And I don't know how technology will develop further, but as I said, what for me is missing in the online festivals is the interaction with the other audiences. So if online festivals can provide some sort of platform also where, as an audience, you can connect with each other, that would be a great step forward, I think.
So you are saying that the online platform is good, but online platform can also give a tool to interact with each other. The audience can interact with each other there on the platform, like chatting or talking to each other during watching the film. Certainly. And you are seeing your Auroville festival also going into hybrid mode, or
the last festival in January, we wanted to do it in hybrid. We were all prepared to have it online. We had a nice platform to show our films online, and we wanted to do physical screenings. And just 5 days before the start of the festival, the COVID restrictions got more strict here in Tamil Nadu, and we had to cancel all our live physical screenings. So it was online only. It was a bit of a pity, but it was also a good learning experience of how to conduct a festival online.
Thank you very much, Christoph, for talking to us, and I hope that we can have your festival now, as the the restrictions has gone down, and we hope that in coming months we can be able to have a traditional festival once again. Thank you very much for taking time for us and discussing your journey, your process, Auroville, your experience in Auroville, your and all these things with us and with our viewers. Thank you very much, Christoph.
Thank you very much for having me. All the best for the festival.
Thank you very much. So, friend, this was Christoph from Auroville, and we discussed about his filmmaking process, his journey from Germany to Auroville, and all these things. Friends, you can watch Christoph's film Ever Slow Green till 23rd of April on the India Science OTT channel, where you can watch exclusively all the 11th CMS VATAVARAN International Film Festival and Forum on Wildlife and Environment Film, where you will have an opportunity to watch 89 films from different part of the world. And you will and in coming days we will be meeting wonderful filmmakers every day from the on the same platform here from 4 to 5. Apart from that, we will be having several other programs, and we are going to soon announce a filmmaking online filmmaking workshop. We will be announcing in day or two, where anyone can join, be a part of the workshop. We are also going to organize a teachers training workshop, where we are inviting teachers from all around India to come and be a part of the workshop and learn how to communicate science and environment in a very easy medium with the help of films in the classrooms. With that, I really want to express My gratitude to Vigyan Prasar and India Science OTT channel, and our other partners, Canadian High Commission in India, NABARD, Punjab State Council for Science and Technology, Forest Department, Government of Haryana, MOFCC, that is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, and IUCN, CEC, Chitkara University, Green Film Network. So thank you very much, partners, for letting us organize the 11th CMS VATAVARAN International Film Festival and Forum in Hyderabad. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Good night.